Welcome to Feel the Heat, a 5 Reasons Sports Network Miami Heat podcast. Hosted by Allana Tachauer and Michael Christian. This is your one-stop listen for all things Miami Heat culture, past, present, and future, on and off the court.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 27 of Feel the Heat. Miami Heat season is back. We just got our first preseason dub. I would be screaming if I didn't almost fall asleep during the third quarter. Michael, how are we feeling?
Listen, I'm super excited. I mean, this team is winning the title. I'm saying it now. They're winning it all.
We're going 98-0. Was that your prediction?
This is in no part an overreaction to winning one preseason game.
Heat Twitter overreacting? No way.
This is in no part an overreaction, straight to the finals. You know how many games the Heat are winning this year?
98. I think 90, I saw your prediction.
98. If you don't know why it's 98, you don't know Heat culture.
And that's the pod for y'all. Good night.
Yep, that's it. Bye.
Michael, okay, be serious for 2.5 seconds of your life. What did you like most about tonight?
It was good to see the offense playing at such a high pace. I tweeted this out at halftime. The Heat 7 times last year over the course of an entire NBA game scored 85 points or less. 7 times. One of those times, funny enough, was game 3 of the first round of the playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks. The other times it was either because they were missing Jimmy, but really Jimmy was there for a lot of them. So you can't just blame it on missing players. The offense last year was stagnant, to say the least. It never really felt like it was working. Yes, this is a preseason game, but in a preseason game where the Heat had basically their entire, normal lineup minus Jimmy Butler playing, they found a way to score 74 points in one half. 74. And like I said, 7 times last year, they scored 85 points or less. It's a really good number. The offense looks great. The only reason why they didn't score more points throughout the course of the entire game was because Kyle sat down, right? I think if he had stayed out there and they had kept being aggressive, look, yes, it is preseason. I'm not going to overreact and say that everything is fixed with this team, but these are good signs and you'd like to see it as opposed to not seeing it. So take them when you can get them. This offense looks good. Kyle Lowry completely rejuvenates it. And if you could get a little bit of this Tyler Hero, people better definitely watch out because the boy's going to go nuts.
You know what's really funny is that you took this down a numbers route while I'm all eye test. The energy out there was crazy. And I'm not even just talking about the pace, which was insane. I know we were talking about this in our Heat thread, but I literally had whiplash at one point, just going back and forth on the screen. But just in terms of chemistry, in terms of energy, they were having fun out there. I think Gad pointed this out during the halftime spaces that they did. They're having fun. They're back. They want this, but it doesn't look like work. And I know it's just preseason. I know it's one game, but I genuinely think that they're so happy a normal season is back. I think, obviously the reconstruction of this roster has everyone in a good place. And listen, Jimmy wasn't even out there. So imagine what would have happened if Jimmy was. Obviously, PJ went out with an injury. We don't know how extensive. Hopefully he'll be back in a game or two. I don't necessarily think he needs to rush it. It is preseason. They pulled Kyle just to rest. Obviously, Jimmy was getting rest too. Caleb Martin is already Heat culture up and down because he took 5 stitches to, I think, the forehead or above the eye or something, came right back. So I don't know. I loved what I saw from this team. It's a completely new vibe and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see them. And I mean, there's a lot of flashbacks to former Heat players. You see Markieff Morris on the floor and you're like, hold up. Are we sure that's not James Johnson in a costume?
For context, Michael texted me that 20 seconds after out loud to myself in my living room. I commented on the fact that that's basically JJ. And also, I don't know if you saw this, but people were liking Caleb Martin to
Gerald
Green.
That's what I was going to say.
I missed dearly. That man was so underrated. He was not appreciated during his time here. Do you remember his suspension when he got high and punched someone in the face? We never fully figured out what happened there, but I just loved every moment of that. So
you loved that he got high, punched someone in the face and got suspended.
It's just the off the court wackiness that I kind of live for. Like that's gritty. That's a dog thing to do.
That's not gritty. That's just stupid.
Eh,
Well,
tomato.
you punch someone in the face while high. That's just dumb.
Maybe they deserved it. We don't know details.
Don't
So
punch
I'm
them
not
in the
going
face.
to I'm not going to judge the man because maybe he deserved it. Maybe he was robbing him. Maybe he did something to his mom. Okay? We don't know the whole thing.
Okay, that's sure. Caleb Martin, if you want to punch someone in the face, Allana says go ahead. She'll like you
Off
even more.
the court though.
Oh,
you don't want to ruin a game for us. It's
for
very
sure.
important.
Right. Okay.
Gerald did get suspended for some time and had to pay some hefty fines. So
probably as he should have for, a little thing called assault, but
again, tomato.
Oh, tomato. Yep. You want to commit a crime off the court? Alana's all for it. It's like a tomato or a potato. Here we are.
I mean, the NFL seems to love criminals. So that's your league, right, Michael?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on it. I can do
actually on this point, you didn't react to my tweet about Lowry filling in as a QB for the Dolphins. I basically tweeted that for you.
So listen, I wouldn't do that because Kyle Lowry is too important for this Miami Heat season.
Ethan made the same point.
He's gonna get hurt behind that offensive line. Let's keep him safe. Now,
this is me trying to bait Michael into Dolphins talk, but you're remaining pretty calm.
If PJ Tucker decides to play on that offensive line, that'll be a huge upgrade. And then maybe I'll let Kyle Lowry get some snaps out there. But yeah, otherwise, no, keep him safe. Keep him healthy.
Speaking of PJ, I didn't like the shade being thrown tonight. Mans missed a few, okay, but Mans also ran. And he's looking to be in better shape. He has some ways to go, admittingly, but I think he's going to fit in quite well. And that body fat percentage is going to go down.
Sure. I mean, it's PJ Tucker. I don't think he's ever going to look like this totally shredded dude.
No, but he doesn't need to.
Right. He just, he needs to be at his best body weight to be able to defend what he defends. And that is he's going to defend up a lot of the time. You can't have him get too small for that kind of stuff. I'm also not saying he can go out there and eat as much, Miami grill as a former Heat center did, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I do want to see him be able to play long stretches of the game, especially those more crucial games where we need him out there defensively just to give other guys a break.
He did hit some pretty threes as well, though. So he's already contributing.
I don't know about the word pretty. It was good to see them go in. His form is
his form's
ugly.
Absurd. Yeah.
So that's
always been the case.
It's like, you remember Dwayne Wade's free throw? You remember how that free throw was just like a line drive, just pop straight to the back of the rim?
I've seen much worse though.
No, for sure. I mean, Shane Battier was not Shane Battier.
Hassan Whiteside might have had the worst of all.
I mean, Sean Marion was a member of the Miami Heat.
Okay, fine. That is fair.
But it doesn't get
Hassan
any worse
cracks
than that.
the top 5 though, hands down.
Hassan probably cracks top 3, but once you've seen Sean Marion, everything else is an improvement. As long as it's above the head, right? Because that dude shot straight from his navel. Holy crap.
Yeah, I worked a prospect basketball camp this past weekend, and there was a kid, and I swear he was shooting from like below the knee. Like I've never seen such a form before. So everyone has their own kind of style. Some of those went in.
Usually what it is that he probably tried shooting from further outside than he should have at a young age. And the only way he could get all the power to do that was by letting the ball get really low and really bringing it up and through and kind of pushing
like
it.
A catapult motion.
Right. And so he got used to that. And now that's the only way he knows how to do it. And if you switched him to a more regular form, he's going to be completely
I should have asked and maybe like passed my phone over to you for him to learn some tips from you.
There has to be a bazillion videos online showing the same form thing. Just tell him to do anything else. Anything.
I mean,
else
I don't
works.
even know who this kid was. I was not there to recruit.
He could probably shoot it backwards better than he does from the knees.
I wonder what my form looks like.
I would bet it's really bad.
I've only seen me shoot once because it's only been recorded once. It wasn't great. It went in.
I would literally give you $100 if you made an NBA 3-pointer on your first attempt.
Okay, we gotta go try that.
I would literally give you $100.
I mean, I'll try. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Right, but you won't make it. That's for
you
sure.
Don't know.
Oh, 100% you won't make it.
I'm more powerful than I look.
It's not about you being weak. It's just I'm pretty sure you'll just like, I don't know. I think you're gonna hit the backboard and not even touch the rim.
Oh, you think that it's even going to go that far? Because my concern is that it won't even make it anywhere near the basket.
No. I think you're gonna hit like the left side of the backboard because you're gonna push it too much with your right hand. It's gonna hit the left side of the backboard, bounce straight back, and not even touch the rim.
How do you know I'm right-handed?
Because you don't look like a lefty.
I don't look.
Lefty,
I'm not quirky enough. They have
right.
You always
There's
know
an
a lefty
aura,
right
right.
off. Yep, absolutely. I've been saying this my whole life. You're the first person who's ever agreed with me on this.
Yeah, you can just you know
You can tell right off the
you know
bat.
who the lefties are.
Yep.
So you don't have.
I'm
that
literally
kind of
thinking
energy.
of like 5 people off the top of my head. We have gotten so off track though. Anything else left to say about this game?
Listen, the team looked good. It was unfortunate to see Trey go down. Right? It's unfortunate that Trey is now dealing with an injury. As advantageous as that is for the Heat, if he is out because he's in the same division, all this, never wish injury on anybody. So it sucks to see that happen. Hopefully he can come back healthy sooner rather than later. It was nice seeing Solomon Hill get some minutes.
Heat legend.
I did love his time with the Heat. I don't know how he got finals minutes to this day, but I love it. The dude loves anime, so he had a fan in me for life. And listen, can I just talk about, look, I know that he didn't play that big a part, but Duncan Robinson and his 3-point shooting has me so
Money
excited
bags, Duncan,
for this upcoming season. He was 4 for 6 tonight, which isn't that big a deal, but he wasn't really trying to get too many shots up. Like they were getting on him pretty quickly on defense, and he was just trying to pass it up, see what else was going on. I think he's going to go absolutely nuts this season. I wouldn't doubt that he breaks, because he already has the record for most 3-pointers made in a Heat season by a Heat player, right?
I think so. Yeah, he broke that last year.
I'm pretty sure he's going to break it again.
See, that's interesting because I actually don't think there's going to be that much of a difference from Duncan last year. I say this in terms of the good Duncan. So not the Duncan that was struggling around the trade deadline, but like peak Duncan last year. I think that's what he's going to be again this year. I don't actually expect that much growth.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think we're going to have that peak Duncan for the whole season.
Consistently.
And we didn't last year.
Yeah, no, that's true, which will elevate the entire team.
Kyle's going to be able to get him the ball quickly enough. And now that's another point guard that they can't sag off of because he can make the 3 off the pick and roll. You're going to have to defend against Bam Adebayo. If Jimmy can get a bit of a 3 going as well, PJ Tucker's hitting those corner shots. You can't do anything to stop all of that 3-point shooting.
Oh no, we're 100% back to our 3-point shooting identity. Like this Heat squad is literally who Pat Riley wants them to be. They're gritty AF. Their defense is like super solid and they're 3-point threats. Like that's literally Heat basketball in a nutshell.
The one thing that I am interested to see how it goes during the regular season is Tyler Hero played fantastic tonight. And we do have some time to talk about Tyler, and I'll use this as kind of like the transition for that. But I wonder how much of Tyler's success came off the fact that he was playing alongside Kyle Lowry, who he probably won't get to play too many minutes with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, having somebody else kind of carry the ball and then be able to give it to him in a spot where he can make his own shot happen really quickly. That's what we have to see Gabe Vincent do a little bit.
To be fair, though, I know we talked about this last week, but Gabe does want to kind of be that more traditional point guard rather than, shoot at a high volume. I'm not saying there's clearly no comparison between him and Kyle Lowry, but I do think he's going to work to get Tyler the ball as much as possible.
Right. I just do wonder how much of Tyler's performance tonight was. Obviously, I think Tyler looks better. He's put in a lot of the work. I think he's going to have a better season than he did last year and than a lot of people are expecting. But I don't know how much of that performance specifically was elevated that much more by playing alongside such an amazing point guard like Kyle Lowry.
No, that's a good point.
One thing.
But I do also think that, the flip side of that is Kyle's doing what Kyle was brought in to do.
Right.
Maybe not necessarily just for Tyler, but as a whole, he is making everyone look better. And I'm really excited to see him next to Jimmy.
Yeah. Seeing that entire lineup together is going to be fantastic. And seeing the way they play, especially in those really crucial games where, like we've said, all of these guys are dogs, every single one of them, even Duncan in his own way. Like you look at Duncan Robinson and you're not thinking like
Duncan's a sneaky dog.
Right. Duncan's the kind of dog where he's like, I'm not going to say much, but then I'm going to hit 3 threes in a row. And then I'm going to look at you and give you like a, should have tried harder.
Right. Like he's basically shutting everyone up with his shot rather than yapping.
Yeah. Jimmy Neutron can get it. I'm with it, man. Go get your game.
That's just such an awful, like, could you imagine that's your comparison? I would not want to look like that.
I mean, but it's Jimmy Neutron. He was cool. Like, you just didn't watch the show. You didn't watch the show.
I know we've been over this, but that's just not what I would want to be told that I looked like.
True. What you also wouldn't want is for an entire group of people to give up on you. And then all of a sudden, because of a couple muscle pictures and a 26-point performance in the preseason, everyone to all of a sudden be back on the train and start talking about sixth man of the year. Look, it has to be said. Twitter has absolutely flipped the switch on Tyler Hero. The desperation to trade that man was palpable. Somehow there was humidity from all of this desperation on a phone or computer through Twitter. And now everybody's kind of turned the page and is like, whoa, Tyler Hero is going to be the best again. What's going on?
What really just, I mean, and I would say boggles the mind, but does it? Because this is so Heat Twitter. It's not that suddenly they're hopeful, right? It's that, oh my God, sixth man of the year candidate. Like, are y'all kidding me? I have never met a group of people less consistent in their takes. Honest to God. I cannot keep up with Heat Twitter anymore. And, you know, it used to aggravate me, but at this point, I'm just going to laugh because what's going to happen is Tyler's going to have 1, 2, 3 off nights, right? Because he's a human being and that's what happens. And all of a sudden it's going to go back to, oh, look, we should get rid of Tyler. It's time to move him. We need to do something before the playoffs. Then maybe he's going to come out, you know, with another opportunity. Maybe a matching cereal bowl with his cereal, though actually low-key, I think those already exist. But something's going to happen again, and people are going to say he's distracted, or they're going to blame his girlfriend. It's going to be something, and right now, y'all are just riding the wave, and I'm sick of it.
And that's the thing, right? There's a way to ride the wave, and this is something that you and I have argued over. My opinion is, as a fan, you have a right and kind of an obligation to ride the wave. That is our job. I do not ride
the wave.
That is our job. But it's one thing to ride the wave, and it's another thing to take that wave and make assertions off of the way you're feeling, right? It's one thing to feel like after a game, let's just say Tyler goes out there in a game and goes, I don't know, 1 for 10 and 0 for 7 from three-pointer, right? The Heat lose. He looks terrible. It's one thing to say, gosh, that guy sucked tonight. That is a valid point. You can say that when you have a bad performance.
I can't.
Hold on. No. You can say that a player had a bad game.
You can say that a player had a bad game, but to say he sucks is just
but that's what I'm saying. That's the difference, right? You can say, man, he sucked tonight.
Absolutely.
And it's another thing to say he had such a bad game tonight. He's trash. Trade him away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Where's I think you and I understand the wave thing differently. Right? You can ride the wave and feel like, God, that was terrible, or God, that was amazing, and not have to make an assertion off of it. Mm-hmm. Right? Tyler Hero played fantastically tonight. He had 26 points. He was 9 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. He had a block that looked amazing. He smacked that shit. It was beautiful. But I'm also not going to take this performance and be like, oh, we're good. We're sold. Tyler
Hero is a question, though.
And he's going all the way to sixth man of the year.
Realistically, what do you think, points wise, he's going to average this season?
I think he's going to have to do a lot of the scoring off of the bench. I think he's going to have to carry that a lot. I think there are going to be plenty of minutes for him to play alongside Kyle Lowry. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be really interesting to see down the stretch. I understand that Duncan Robinson is really fantastic and locked in. I'm going to be really interested to see if he has Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero playing those last couple minutes of the fourth quarter, right? Alongside Kyle, Jimmy, Bam, and probably PJ.
Honestly, it should be Tyler. There's something in him. He lives for those crunch time minutes.
And that's
the big stage and Tyler just go hand in hand together. Duncan's just not that guy.
Now, hold on. I will say this. If Duncan's having a game like he can have, right? You're going into the fourth quarter, Duncan's shooting 5 of 7, 5 of 8 from the 3-point line, right? Keep in Duncan. Right? That spacing, you're not going to get that spacing from Tyler. But I think, like you said, Tyler does have that clutch gene. We've seen it for a while. And he takes some of those pull-up 3-point shots in transition that make a lot of people uncomfortable. And I do understand why. It is kind of a weird shot to get used to. But if he gets a lot of those minutes and he carries that shooting for that scoring for the second unit, I can easily see Tyler averaging anywhere from, 16 to 18 points per game.
Okay, I was going to say 18. So.
Yeah, which doesn't sound like an absurd amount. But again, for a guy who's coming off the bench and is probably going to be in flux a little bit from night to night with who he's playing alongside.
if you take that number alongside the offensive production of everyone else, it is a lot, because that is the difference between a win and a loss. I think people walking in and saying, okay, yeah, he's easily going to be a plus 20 guy. I don't know about that. It honestly depends on how much he's playing. Obviously, God forbid, but injuries are a thing. We don't know how much tick he's going to get. To your point, we don't know if maybe Duncan is going to get hot in the fourth. Maybe that's something he's working on to be a little bit more confident in those crunch moments. But like I would say 18 is kind of where I'm landing there.
And if he scores 18 points per game, let's be completely honest, you're probably looking at the third highest scorer on this team. I'm not saying he's the third best player on the team, right? I'm not anywhere near saying that. But you've got Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle Lowry all playing together. And as much as I'd like to see all of them be aggressive and try to get their own points, I just don't see all of them doing it that often because they're playing alongside each other. So it's going to be cannibalizing a lot of the shots they're going to be taking. So that's what I'm saying. His opportunity to score coming off the bench with that second unit is going to really be there. So I could very much see him being the third leading scorer on this team, anywhere from that 16 to 18 points per game range. And honestly, look, I want to see all these guys shoot a lot. I want to see them all play well. If we're winning, I really don't care how we're doing it. I really don't care. If Tyler's our leading scorer by a decent margin, I don't care. I want to win. If Kyle Lowry is the one that's taking it all, cool. Like, just somebody do it. Somebody take that charge. Somebody take lead. And so, listen, this offense is looking mighty potent.
I think it was Brady who tweeted this earlier tonight, but this team really is a team. There's not going to be one guy who stands out night in and night out, and it's not going to be the same guy leading every night. And I feel like in past seasons, maybe not so much last year, although somewhat because of injuries, but past season that hasn't necessarily been the case. We've relied on two guys, three at most. Now it's a team effort, and that is badly needed, especially because, again, these guys are human. Someone's going to have an off night.
Yep.
Injuries are going to happen. Rest is going to be needed to be taken, especially closer to that postseason. So I am thrilled with the way things are looking. But one guy who did not get a chance to play yet is your boy Depot. And I wanted to talk about some images that are floating around because your boy looks like he had a lot of snacks during his recovery. Thoughts?
I'm sorry, be explicit as to what you're saying.
He just looks a little bigger.
I mean, he probably hasn't been able to do that much cardio. There's no way he's in basketball shape right now.
Does that concern you at all?
No. He has time to get into basketball shape. You know, this organization could get people into basketball shape in literally the snap of a finger.
Right. But my problem there is a healthy guy getting into basketball shape. Sure. You don't really need to make that a long drawn out process. A guy who's been injured multiple times and is rehabbing, it's kind of a slower roll. I will say it could have just been the photos. That's not the first time that we've seen like one or two photos from a specific, media day from a player.
Photos.
No, I'm not talking about those.
Oh, you're not talking about Ethan's pics?
I am not. I'm talking about official pictures released by the Heat from media day. Man looked large.
I mean, maybe he's bulking up from a muscle standpoint. Right.
That could be it too. I'm not gonna judge based on one set of photos. Who knows what happened there? But it was just kind of jarring. And I think that I wouldn't concerned as strong, but I do hope that he's already starting to get back to game shape.
And I think he is, and that's absolutely biased by the fact that I do really like the guy and I want him to do well. I just feel like if it was an issue, the Heat would have addressed it, and they would be addressing it, and they would be getting after it.
Well, Dion Waiters also existed, not to compare the two in terms of work ethic, but we all remember how Dion came back looking.
Right, but it was one thing with Dion and that team and where everything was at, and just the way he played versus Depot. Like, Depot needs his athleticism. Not that Waiters wasn't athletic, but you weren't expecting
that wasn't
Waiters
his
to
game.
do anything for you offensively. He wasn't going to get to the basket and dunk on people or anything like that. That's not his style, right? He was going to cross you up a few times, take a crazy three-pointer and make it, and kind of scam you out of your money to Philly cheese it up. I don't know. But look,
you gotta respect Dion's confidence.
Your barometer for liking and disliking people is off the charts for me, and I don't understand. It's inconsistent.
It's a vibe.
No,
I
it's
work
not.
off vibes.
It's not a vibe.
It's absolutely a vibe.
It's annoying.
Mm.
It's terrible. You know what? You were on Dono's show today, and you talked about another player that you would like. Man, who was it?
Did I?
They brought up Mo Harkless, and then they brought up someone else as like a possible Mo Harkless, and you were like, "Oh, I like the way they look," or something like that. And it's just
I can't. Well, my memory is trash, so
you have horrible picks and players you like. That's what
it's
I was
all a vibe. I'm telling you.
Yeah, go punch someone in the face outside of an NBA court, and the vibe is positive.
I listen. You know what I like? I like a good story, right? Like that's kind of how I live my life. Like everything for a good story. And like, granted, there are limits to that. But again, we don't know what was happening with the guy who got punched. I can't remember the details. A lot of it wasn't released. Gerald Green, though, he's a G. Come on. You can't not like Gerald. Also, his name is Gerald.
I just would have loved to have talked to you and I a week ago and said, "Hey, by the way, next week when we're recording the podcast, we're going to be talking about Gerald Green, James Johnson, and Dion Waiters."
Speaking of James Johnson, I was sneakily watching the Lakers Nets game while at this prospect camp. James Johnson was just looking so missed on that Nets bench. You weren't a JJ fan?
No, you brought up the Lakers, so I tuned out.
I like that you're pretending to not like the Lakers now. Like you don't actually have a problem with the Lakers. You're just doing this.
Whoa.
You like LeBron. You're a LeBron fan.
That's different. No.
What do you have against the Lakers?
I've always disliked the Lakers.
I've never heard you say anything before I started repping them.
No. First of all, the Lakers are a very pretentious organization.
I'm not talking about the organization. I'm just talking about the currently constructed roster.
Okay, sure. Let's.
I'm not like a Lakers fan year after year.
No, you want to talk about the 2012 NBA All-Star team.
Who? How does that bother you? Like, what is there not to like about that?
I just think they're all hyped up for no reason, and they like buy into it, and that is one of the things I do like. LeBron,
I
am
live
a LeBron
for
fan,
that.
But that's one of the things that I don't like about him.
Right?
Like he does this like it's us against the world, guys.
Love that. You know why? Because he pisses off people like you. You realize he's just doing that to get under people's skin. He literally does not care, and it's amazing. Melo, same way. Rondo. This cast of characters, love.
Oh, Melo, you're talking about the point guard in Charlotte?
Anyway, I don't even remember what's next on our rundown. Oh,
look, no.
Eastern Conference Finals.
What about him?
Is it realistic for this team? Because I have heard all sorts of things the last week.
Well, if certain players continue to be how can I put this in a way? Well,
Andrew Wiggins got the vaccine, right? So Kyrie might be next.
Which then makes me feel even more confused.
Yes, I agree. If you're gonna stick to your guns, even though it's stupid, just stick to your guns. I respect that more.
Like you went out of your way to say some really, and you know what? And I'm gonna be honest, you went all the way out of your way to say some really stupid shit, just the dumbest shit. So then immediately be like, "Oh, but they're not gonna pay me." To be fair,
not that I have any. I don't support this in any way, but out of all the people who came out with this, I'm not getting the vaccine story, he actually declined to say anything about it. He just said, "I'm not getting it's personal." So at the very least, it's not like he went on this entire dog and pony show about X, Y, and Z and then backtracked.
Fine. Then we can say Bradley Beal said some really stupid shit.
Yes, I agree. Kyrie is on planet Looney Bin.
Yeah, Kyrie, the stuff with Kyrie was that it was reported that he said and believed some stupid shit.
We all know he did. Like that is
right. So then they're
so
both
on
stupid.
Brand. Right.
So then they're
correct.
both stupid. So
and Jonathan Isaac had some not so smart words as well.
Don't get me started on Jonathan Isaac because listen, I live here in Orlando. That team is sponsored by a freaking health system.
Oh, wow. That's a look.
He stars in a commercial for said health system.
Oh.
And now he's talking about not wanting to get vaccinated. It's a very weird and bad look for him.
Yeah, I did not know any of that, but that is something.
Yeah, it just is a whole thing. it's going to be funny to me when all these players get the vaccine, right? I wonder if they're all going to get it because they spent the entire day today not being able to do any of their own research on the vaccine because Facebook was down. So where are they supposed to get their scientific research from? If Facebook is down, I don't think they know of another source to get it from. So maybe that'll be the reason why they cave and get it. Or it'll be the fact that they won't be paid for any games that they miss, which I disagree with the NBA on a bazillion things. Taking away the pay from players that refuse to get vaccinated and aren't able to play the games.
Completely the right move.
Fantastic move, NBA. Mm-hmm. Fantastic move.
I'm shocked that Adam Silver had the balls for that.
Adam Silver, you want to come on this podcast and talk about it? We'd love to have you. I know you're not listening because
absolutely.
Allana cussed you out and she said some bad things about you.
I don't feel that way about you. Any swear words.
In my head, you did.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen up there. But Eastern Conference Finals, let's take it all back. Look, if Kyrie misses a bunch of games, that chemistry is going to keep looking weird. We know that they have a hard time staying healthy. If the Heat, actually, let me take that back. Number one, the Heat have to stay healthy. That just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of players on this team have injury histories. They need to keep it together. If the Heat can stay healthy, if the team can play like we believe they can, and any of these other teams in front of them take even a minor step back, including, anonymous NBA exec that thinks that the Bulls are the third best team.
You mean Danny Ainge?
I'm pretty sure it is Danny Ainge.
It's always Danny Ainge.
I think he's looking for some sort of ownership stake in the Bulls now.
Although I will say a coworker at NBC also put the Bulls above the Heat. And I was like, I understand that the station covers said Bulls, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let me just react in anime and say, Nani?
Yeah. I think the Bulls are going to come in fifth, but I have the Heat in third. So
I have a hard time putting the Heat in third just because of the way the regular season can go for us sometimes, where it's either battling injuries or.
So what you think Philly's going to be above us?
No,
Well, who's third then?
I'd have to go through and look through it because I haven't looked at the whole thing, but it like to automatically put them into third because I think they're a better team than those other teams is not how I see it, because the regular season kind of goes up and down. And if this team has that really bad habit of playing up to certain competition and then playing down to others. So
those days are over. We're a new look team.
Timeout. I would love for those days to be over, but until I see that those days are over, I can't make a claim to the otherwise.
Okay, well, you heard it here. They're going to be in third and the Bulls will be in fifth.
Okay.
Now, do I think we're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals? Not right now. For me, it depends on if we make any other moves at the trade deadline and actually what the Nets and Bucks do at the trade deadline.
I think this team, as currently constructed, can make the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm thinking through this. And you know what? I'm all in. And this is not because of today's game. Genuinely, I think this team will make the Eastern Conference Finals.
I hope you're right.
They end in the third seed. They would then play a 2. You're playing a 2 that's probably going to end up being the Nets, just because I think the Bucks are a better regular season team than the Brooklyn Nets. If the Nets aren't healthy at that point, which seems much more likely than the Heat not being healthy at that point, you're looking at an advantageous situation for the Heat. We know how PJ Tucker likes to defend against those guys. He just did a great job defending against them when the Bucks played them this past season. You know what? We'll do a whole prediction thing on our last episode before the regular season starts, but I'll say now, book it. Heat making it to these conference finals. Where they go past that, I am not ready to say anything yet, but Eastern Conference Finals, I'm calling it.
You have Michael to blame for any jinx he might have just put on the team.
What?
I'm just saying, I'm not taking the blame.
So hold on a second. So you only said that they're not making it there so that you don't get blamed for the jinx?
No, I said it depends what we do at the trade deadline. The only thing I'm sticking to.
This is what you do. You don't make predictions or claims.
Everyone just lives in my world. It's okay.
No, that you say
One day
things
you'll
like,
get used to it.
no, you say things like they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals if they play well and if things go right. So that if they don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, you can come back and say, well, technically what I said was if things go well
And
and if they
technically
play
what
right.
I said was ...
You know what? For a person who applauds others' courage so much, you're not showing much of any in your takes.
Yeah, the thing is I fight everyone's battles for them because they can't fight their own. So in my basketball takes, I'm a little bit more relaxed. Let's move on before things get ugly here. Off the court topics. I don't know if you saw this, but the Heat asked for our humble opinion on whether they should change their official hashtag to Heat Culture from Heat Twitter. In my opinion, that doesn't make any sense because we as an entity are Heat Twitter. We are not the culture. But I know for a fact that fans voted Heat Culture. I don't know if it's like an official switch. What are your thoughts on that, though? Because I found it very odd.
So it kind of falls more in line with the rest of the NBA teams, because don't the rest of the NBA teams and they're like hashtag with the logo, isn't it like a more slogan for them where like Milwaukee's would be fear the deer, and then
Raptors are like we the North, I think.
Right. Like it falls more in line with like their like one-off line that everybody
Maybe,
says.
but I think the Bulls are Bulls Nation, which still makes more sense to me because it's like a group of people.
Right, but that's because the Bulls don't really have anything else to go off of. It's not like they can make their hashtag Michael Jordan is the only reason we're relevant. That's too long. So
now you're anti-Chicago too.
I'm anti everybody else. I'm Heat all the way.
No, and then all of a sudden you're a Bucks supporter or a Bucks hater, and then you like the Nets and you don't like the Nets.
When I hate certain people enough, I will root for someone else. But this is in the playoffs. The Heat are in it. I'm all Heat and nobody else.
So you like Heat culture then?
I understand why Heat culture. I get your point as well as to like, okay, but we're talking from Heat Twitter here. Also, we've always kind of called it Heat Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
though, sorry to cut you off, but I think it used to be Heat Nation, like back a while ago.
That one I don't like. I don't like Heat Nation.
See, that's what I like came into Twitter in. So for me, when that went away and the Bulls took Bulls Nation, it was like very foreign because I was like, this is the Heat's hashtag. Like it was that for a long time when I joined Twitter. But I mean, I guess I'll get used to it. It's just, to me, I liked Heat Twitter because it actually refers to like a group of people.
And also because, like I said, like, again, it's probably just because we're so invested in it.
Right.
But Heat Twitter definitely feels different than everyone else's.
Yeah.
Right. Both in the ups and the downs. Right. Like, don't piss us off, random tiny account from city that nobody cares about outside of your NBA basketball team having one moment of success. We will destroy you. Right. Like that is what we are. Right. So Heat Twitter feels like the name for our group. Right. It feels very apparent to all of us. I think Heat culture just aligns it closer to the team. I understand the reasoning for both. I do lean Heat culture slightly now that we're talking through this, just because that's how the rest of the NBA does it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with both of them.
I have to look. I haven't checked if it officially went through, but I'm assuming if they asked, it probably was for a reason. The other big change coming, and I don't think these have been necessarily confirmed, but the City Edition jerseys were leaked. They look like a little kid putting together a ransom note. I don't.
Is that what happens in Chicago? Like kids put together ransom notes? Is that a normal?
I mean, that happens in movies. Didn't that happen in like Home Alone or something?
I don't think it did. And if it did, are we really going as Home Alone for the barometer for how all children act?
Well, Home Alone was filmed, I think, in Chicago. So that's all I know.
Right. So like, you don't really know. Like, I just think it's
because weird. I just don't think kidnappers actually take the time to write ransom notes. And if they do, they're not going to clip magazines to do it. Like, are we really, that's really where we're going?
Right. It's just kids that write ransom notes for all the abductions that they take part in.
I think so.
That makes no sense. And you know it. Like,
you know what doesn't make sense? The jersey.
Sure. Yeah. The jerseys.
Listen, we've had some fire jerseys, and actually, I don't really think there's been one that I can say I don't like. I've had some that aren't as great as others.
I've got one.
Really? Which one?
The Indiana Pacers jersey.
Okay, but here's the thing. If the Pacers didn't exist, would you have a problem with that jersey, or is it only because it looks like Indiana's?
Yeah, still probably would have had an issue with it.
Okay,
it doesn't feel Miami at all.
I hated it in relation to Indiana, but for me, if it was standalone, I have no problem with that. I think like the color, I understood where it came from with the trophy gold. And I feel like in terms of the color scheme, like I can understand why that's an alternate color. This one, I cannot understand for the life of me. It's
right,
like they ran out of ideas and just put it all in one.
Right, but the trophy gold, it's like, if you told me it was something unique that we could point to, cool, but it's not. Multiple franchises have won the finals, so it's not like us saying trophy gold. We're not the only ones. Like I like, right,
but that's like saying
to us.
The Bulls had pinstripes, and so did the Magic. So I mean, I see your point, but also like different teams do kind of. And was it the Jazz and someone else had very similar jerseys? Was it the Valley colors looking like
for the Suns?
Yeah, not this year, but there have been similar jerseys. I hope that the one we saw for this year isn't actually what's happening. Because listen, our merch department has been killing it. So I don't know why we're taking a left.
Yeah, that one just wasn't great. Like even there was a good amount of people too that had an issue with last year's jersey, the like half and half kind of.
I mean, I didn't love it, but I don't dislike it either. This one I actively do not like.
This one doesn't look good, and maybe they find a way to make it look good, right? Maybe they find a way to put it together, and we're just like, hey, you know what? We were wrong, and that looks like a great jersey. It's just it doesn't. To my aesthetic, it's not really. It's not really kicking it. Like again, what I like about the city jerseys is when it's unique, when it feels like the city, when it
like the Vice,
right? Like the Vice ones made sense for Miami and the aesthetic and just the way that team culture was. This one's
like hell.
Yeah.
Our players are being held hostage by your kids. You know?
No, I don't, but I think I don't know how else to respond to that. I don't know what else to say other than God be with all the people in Chicago dealing with children abducting them.
Maybe I did that, and that's why I'm thinking about it. Not kidnap someone. I've never kidnapped someone. I might have written a ransom note.
Okay. I would have guessed you had. Just based on the way you're talking about. Right. But now I know if I ever get a ransom note that says we have Allana send the money, I'll just send over some Legos or something. Cause I'm, like, hey, kids love Legos. Sounds like a great idea.
Honestly, if you ever get that, it's probably me writing it because I want money from you, but I don't want to ask. Or actually, it's not even that I want. I feel like at that point, I'd be so desperate that I need it, but I can't come to you. So that's when you'd get the ransom note. So please send money, not Legos, because that doesn't help me pay my rent.
Yeah, I think we're done tonight. I think that was it.
All right. Well, the next preseason game, I believe, is on Thursday against the Rockets. I unfortunately will be at work and cannot watch, but I will be recording it, and I will be following alone. I will be following alone, but along as well on my phone. Thank you for listening, and good night, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Feel the Heat. Can't get enough of your hosts? Follow Allana at Allana Tachauer, Tachauer, and Michael at Michael5RSN on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe.